What's up? Okay, I had to rig up my phone here. Hopefully it doesn't fall over. It's a half-eaten apple here. Okay, so climate crisis, a hoax, part 2. My final thought. Hold on to your hats. Here we go. So the best way for us to look at this, for people who are conflicted, for people who are denying, the best example I can give is slavery, okay? And here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to walk us through it briefly, kind of side by side. We're going to be bouncing back between two, so listen closely. And if I make mistakes while I'm talking, I'm sorry. Sometimes I am thinking it, but it comes out a different way. So it is what it is. So slavery, in the beginning, it was the norm. It was really wrong. It was unethical. It was immoral. It was violent. It was destructive, and it was the accepted norm. The fruits of slavery, for those who were not enslaved, were rich. There was money to be made, and there was more money to be made. And there were a vast amount of white people, here in America that really didn't really agree with slavery. I don't believe that, I believe that there were a few that were absolutely opposed to it, but that was a very dangerous thing and philosophy to have at that time. And there was a bunch that kind of couldn't care less, I guess is what I'm kind of trying to. They couldn't care less. It was kind of just the way it was. That was their place. And then there were the ones on the top that were just pure and absolute hatred, and that was what they truly believed, that the blacks were there to be exploited. They were not equal. They were not even really classified as human. They were, not of God, what have you. So now we have climate crisis, and we have the few minority of people in the world, like the few minority white people that fought against slavery back then, and the people fighting climate crisis right now. And then we have the mass group of people in the world. They're like, well, I don't really know. Who knows? Or there's nothing we can do about it. Who cares? Or I don't think that there's anything I can do. The mass majority just accepting the social norm of it. And then we have the top elite and the most wicked and disgusting and evil people who, and not everybody that's disgusting is elite. There's climate deniers that are average Joes that are disgusting people. But, and when I say disgusting, I mean like blatantly lying, like blatantly, like a genuine climate denier advocating anti-environmental progress. So we have those top elites, the oil industries, the wealthy, the banks, all the industries dependent on fossil fuels, the meat industry, dairy industry, fishing industry, all of it, animal agriculture. It's all there at the elite top, feeding to the mass public what should be happening. Back then, the slave owners probably denied anything that they were doing was wrong. Well, now the big oil companies and the agricultural companies deny they're doing anything wrong. The mass public feeds them it. We benefit from the technology that we use fossil fuels to indulge in. We benefit from the smartphones. We benefit from the cars. We benefit from the plane trips. We benefit from the cruises. We benefit from the drive-thrus. We benefit from the fashion, the furniture, the TVs, the DVDs, the lamps, the shoes, everything. We benefit from it all that we use fossil fuels to produce and make happen. The air conditioning, the heating. So the mass of us are benefiting from it. So even though it's wrong, we're misled and blinded. And that's the manipulation. The same manipulation that the slave runners used. They made it a convenience, and they made it the center stone of the economic wheel. Have them picking the cotton, doing all the work. Selling them, making money off of them. The list goes on and on. So we have this mass majority influenced by these fossil fuel companies and banks, doing all this, animal agriculture doing all this wrong. And the truth gets lost. And now we have Extinction Rebellion, we have Animal Rebellion, we have Greta, we have climate scientist Dr. Peter Carter, and the list goes on and on. We have YouTube channels like Nick Breeze's dedicated to putting forth the journalism that is happening around and reporting that's happening around this climate crisis that mainstream media is blatantly ignoring. And when mainstream media mentions climate change, not crisis, they talk about it as if it's going to pass. They give us this subtle comfort that everything's okay, but it is serious. You know, we're not brushing it off, but you can trust us because we're not brushing it off. And you can trust us in saying it's all going to be okay. And then after that news section is done, it goes to a Ford commercial or maybe a McDonald's commercial. So we look at that. We look at how there was the deception during slavery, and the general public was deceived for the most part and manipulated, and how we are deceived and manipulated. We are benefiting from what we get from using fossil fuels. We feel bad about it, but I guess in the end it's necessary, right? Were slaves necessary? So the slaves then were freed. And when I say freed, I mean they didn't have to stay on a plantation, and they weren't property anymore. Along the lines of being legally safe, protected, having any rights. They had no civil rights, okay, for the most part. So that was pretty serious. You know, there was a lot of work to be done, and I show that, I connect that. I mean, this finally they're free. All right, they're free, but finally, it's climate crisis. You know, the consensus is that global warming is happening. What was that? 2007. It was a final consensus, the end of debate in 2007. So, okay, it's climate crisis. We're calling it out. Slavery, we're calling it out. Boom. Okay? But what happened from that? Yeah, we cracked it, but we didn't crumble it and break it down. Careful. No hitting. So, from that, they were out of the slavery, but they had no rights. They were murdered for years and years, treated wrong, you know, up into the 50s when the boycotting and the bombings, you know, and here we are with introducing wind power and solar power. That's right. Okay, go to your bedroom and save your brother. He needs help. Okay, so then now we're going ahead and we're slightly embracing something a little better. You know, there's much to be done. We're picking at it little and little, but we're still burning the fossil fuels and increasing our emissions. So this time, you know, African Americans freed, but not allowed to, you know, use the same bathrooms or the same restaurant, or, you know, be in the front of the bus, or look at a Caucasian person without the risk of being murdered, you know, lynched. White people that were fighting side by side for civil rights, like the climate activists we have now, were the minority. The minority that knew it was wrong, that was acting on their knowledge of the immorality of what was happening. The minority were the gears of change. The minority of the climate protesters and spokespersons going in and advocating and to the best of their ability, demanding change, taking direct action, getting arrested, making a ruckus so the courts and the government we know, and we will not have it. The same way people were arrested for standing in the front of the buses, refusing to move. We are doing that now. We are gluing ourselves to those goddamn buses. And this is why. Because we see the big picture. We know it's wrong, just like those who fought, brave whites who died with African Americans, and Jewish activists who died with African Americans for liberty. We need to honor that. All of us, white, black, Asian, every race it doesn't matter what race you are. You have the ability to fight and do what's right and stand side by side with your fellow species, Earthlings, okay? And branch that out, the love to our fellow species with paws and hooves and fins and feathers and fur. Okay? So here we are. This small movement, but that's making actually quite a good amount of ruckus and change and triggering thoughts. I'm here. You're here. See? So it goes one by one. So then finally, we keep pushing and pushing. And we're to the point where Okay, go to your room. I'm going to finish this. So hold on. Here, take that to your bedroom. Thank you. We're at this point where now, like the African Americans in the past kept pushing. Now, there's no segregation. Okay, there's none of that anymore. There's still issues going on, but we are miles and miles and miles from where we were before. And what I want you to now take into context is, and into your mind, just let it soak in. When we look back.
And they're getting when the spookies get out here.
Okay. When we look back on slavery, we see the heinous audacity. Look at all the films that have been made. I mean, Roots, 12 Years a Slave, Amistad. Our culture, everyone, every race embraces this, and we see it, and we are disgusted by it, and we are shocked. There is a vast, small amount of Peckerwood weenie faces that still believe in supremacy, Peckerwoods, Featherwoods, neo-Nazis, whatever, Ku Klux Klan, hatred, stuck on the past, afraid to be brave. It takes courage to look back and acknowledge that the people that came before you were wrong. It takes courage to stand up to your elders and your ancestors and take on a new stance. Yes, it takes courage to embrace what you're absolutely unfamiliar with. And that's what white supremacists lack. And that's what climate deniers lack. Courage and education. But it can be awakened. That's the cool thing. That's the best thing. I love it when I see stories of, people who came from different racial backgrounds who were racist, but then meet someone, become friends, and have so much peace in their life and have a whole new purpose or filled with joy. It's so cool. So anyways, we're at that point now where we have, where we're looking back and we're seeing how long it took for slavery to end, for humans to evolve, to get the point well into right after Trump was in office, that heinous hate crime that white young man did, 19-year-old man drove into a crowd protesting for, civil rights, black rights. There was a many Caucasian people there, of course, many races there, of course. It's a human rights issue. And that he drove his car into the crowd and killed that young girl there who happened to be Caucasian. Not that that is even relevant, but just from their stance too. Take that, you racist supremacists. Way to go. That's a lose for them. Of course, they probably view people who stand up for other races not really their race anymore because but let's not get too off track here. So we're at that point where we can look at the mistakes we've made and see how incredibly long it takes for us to wake up as a civilization over social issues that are wrong. We are making the same mistakes now that we made with slavery, except for this time frame, this clock ticking. There's no stopping it. There's no going back. You see what I'm saying? So if we don't acknowledge this and liberate ourselves from mental oppression and the distractions that oil industries manipulate us with to think that that's better than life, as long as we're doing that, we're not going to make it. And even if we're not going to make, that's no reason to not fight. It's no reason to not fight. Courage is doing all we can until the end. And we show that courage to give our children what comfort we can. So I want to close by saying there is no measure that is too extreme in opposing climate crisis. Okay? There is nothing that comes above life. There is nothing. Here, come over here. Come off of that, please. I'm almost done. And these industries and the big banks that fund oil.
I saw blood.
You did? Okay, go give that to your brother. These big businesses, corporations, banks, government, they manipulate us. And it's so convenient to them and works to their benefit that the things that we like to indulge in, like I've said before, electronics, yada, 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 are fossil fuels. But no phone, no matter the picture quality or the memory storage, is above life. No, never, never. No comfort is above life. Heating and air conditioning is not above life. People say, well, we turn off all the power if we go extreme, you know, if we act like we're in a crisis, you know, people could die. People could freeze to death. People could die from heat. That very well may be. That very well may be. But if we don't stop fossil fuels altogether, millions and millions into billions of people are going to die. We're talking about mass extinction, ladies and gentlemen. Go in your bedroom. I'll be right there. Sorry, I really want to get this message out. The clock is ticking. It is life or death. This is the sixth mass extinction, the beginning stages of it. And it is the first extinction that has been brought on by a species itself. Now, do we want that dumb prize for humanity? Do we want the next species from another universe coming through here, you know, skimming through shithole Earth, fried up, looking like as hot as Uranus or Venus is boiling water, dusty like Mars? Come up in here, find bits and pieces of history left behind, find a little preserved phone chip. You want the more intelligent species to discover us and then us be classified in the universal history books as the dumbest species to ever live? I mean, come on, we have to really put this into perspective.
Who's that?
Would you go into your bedroom? We're in climate crisis.
I see some monsters.
You see a monster?
Yeah.
And we are in danger. And we have to wake up. We're making the same mistakes, but the time is not there. The time is not there. We don't have 400 years. We don't have...
There's that piece of pile.
Yeah, that's right.
Monster.
He's driving me bonkers.
Hey! I
But you know what? There will come a time when he'll be grown and he won't be able to interrupt me. And there might come a time when he's suffering and he's not carefree and joyful, interrupting me while I'm trying to say something on YouTube, you know. And so these are actually moments to cherish. Less time being frustrated with our young because they might not have a very happy world to grow up to. So
I have to do this.
put that in perspective. Takes human beings a really long time to wake up, and all the telltale signs are there. The people that are benefiting from it are saying no, no, no. The mass majority is benefiting from it, and there is a small majority of people fighting for the right. This is what's happening with the climate crisis movement right now and what's in our world. And then back 400 years ago in the slave days, we had the elites, the top, the wealthy, making the money off of the slave trade. We had the mass majority benefiting off of the cotton and the labor, the free labor, you know. And then we had the small mass of people that were opposed to this. We need an Abraham Lincoln for climate change, okay? Yeah, we can watch this. So everybody, have a good one. Sorry that I got a little impatient with my little ones while I was talking to you. I may look like... Okay. I may come across as a impatient mom or a bad mom to first-time viewers, but no. This is 18 minutes here. We got the whole day, the whole night, and I usually dedicate about an hour and a half to 2 hours to YouTube when I'm doing videos because I usually screw up and have to redo something or one of the kids starts screaming so loud that the video's a no-go, and I don't really edit anything yet. So, but we're getting into that. I'm going to do a road trip. Best friend Mia is going to help me figure out editing and stuff, and I might have to get like a program or something. I'll look into it. We'll see. I don't know, but we'll see. I do want it to be entertaining, but at the same time, it is what it is. It's just the message, and it's not about popularity. There are many climate activists with huge platforms on their YouTube that do a bunch of editing and like have a lot of people subscribed. So I'm just right here with you. So I like to keep it. I do like to keep it raw. Oh, that's Harry Potter: The Deathly Hallows. Woo, that one's too intense. Maybe in a few years. See, when we want to think about the future, really think about the future and really think about what your babies are going to be feeling. And I guess the last thing I'll close with is, I heard a climate scientist talk, or someone, activist say this, but even in some Looney Tune alter universe, let's say, hey guys, let's say climate crisis was a hoax. Okay, let's say it all was a hoax. What would be wrong with stopping slaughtering animals and dumping toxic waste into our world and polluting the air? I mean, regardless of the gases warming the air, you know, when we expel gases of any sort into the air, that is pollution for starters, and we're breathing that. So even if, oh, I know who I heard. It was Jill Stein. What? Oh, I feel so foolish now. Oh, man. Okay, so yeah, Jill Stein. She said, what do we have to lose, you know? If we get on zero emissions, if we clean up the seas, if we keep them clean, if we keep the forest wild, what do we have to lose? We only have something to gain. If we don't do what needs to be done, and, you know, here's climate change, then we're screwed. We're absolutely screwed. Excuse me. And climate change is not a hoax, just so everyone knows. And I wish it was. Oh, gee whiz. And that might be part of the problem, too. You know, it's easy to turn away when something's scary because we live in a society here in the U.S. particularly where it's very easy to tune out. And, you know, there doesn't have to be climate change if you don't want there to be, unless you look closer and read the science and listen to your heart. Apply your mind, apply your heart, and we must use our intelligence the proper way. We're using our intelligence for gratification, greed, for gluttony. Okay, I'm not even a religious person here, but seriously, there are a few good things we could learn from the old Bible. Okay, I don't read it, but you know, I don't hate it. I just think that we need to wake up, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to listen to the science first and foremost, and then we listen to our hearts, and then we can save the world. What? You want to be a superhero? You can save the world. Do all you can. Look into Extinction Rebellion. Go vegan. Educate yourself. Turn off your lights. Keep your heater and air conditioner off as much as you can. Be prepared to go to extremes, because there is like I said, there is nothing too extreme when it comes to survival. Nothing. All right, I gotta go. These two are just about to turn on each other. Thank you for your time. Much love, and as usual, go vegan, fight the climate crisis, and let's wake up. We have a chance to make it, okay? We do have a chance. It's not much, but we do have a chance, so I'm on board.